Just doing my thing.
Thank you for tuning in to the Voice of C38. We are happy to be doing our thing on this Tuesday afternoon / evening as we're recording for you guys. I only mentioned Tuesday just because we're trying something a little different. We're going live. Ooh. So we're casting live, so some people happen to know what day it is and what's going on.
Other than us.
Aside from the other 300 some odd people who download our podcast on Thursdays, welcome and thank you for joining us on a Tuesday. We're missing Matt today. He's not here. It's Kiddo's birthday, so happy birthday, Aiden. Yay.
Happy birthday, Aiden.
Alrighty, so other than that, Brian is here.
Aloha. Oi.
Brian does not sing for a living.
Nope, you're welcome.
Thank God.
Right. And the drunken monk, who I think has a lot to catch up to as far as the drunken part, because Brian and I have tapped into a little mini keg of the Christmas brew from the Breckenridge Brewery.
Whoa, I thought we were supposed to tell what we were drinking. I thought that was frowned upon.
I'm actually going with a Leopold
good.
bourbon.
See, he just did it.
Thanks. Take that, Matt.
I mean, this isn't a
Colorado
beer
stick Colorado
podcast, but we got to expand ourselves a little bit, right? So
you can at least announce our offerings for the night.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what we should be drinking. Anyway, big news. It's official.
Huge.
Nana Adjei-Boateng, or Bismarck, I guess, is probably birthmark name or birth certificate.
What?
Bismarck, birthmark. I don't know. I was just kind of mumble jumble.
How do you know about birthmarks? That's a little personal.
I don't. So it has become official that he is now a Colorado Rapid. So we will discuss that in depth a little bit more, our thoughts and feelings in that, and kind of where we might think to see him play, and if he's even here yet, because we haven't seen any pictures, and typically
dude, no way he's here.
Yeah, because typically if the guy is here, either there's a press conference scheduled, there's pictures of the dude holding the scarf at the stadium, there's stuff like that. There's none of that out there yet, so he may not be here, but we'll also talk about the team and what they're doing this week. We can kind of talk about next week a little bit too, but since we're casting next week, we'll talk about next week. And then
what he said.
One more signing. Alan Gordon joins the Colorado Rapids.
I never heard of him. Who's that?
If you've never heard of him, then
that's our friend Wanathon's favorite player, by the way.
Right.
He's got a Gordon jersey, I think.
Yeah, that guy.
He's probably already got it. He's got his on right now, actually. Probably.
Juan was like happy hour all day when that signing was announced. So we'll talk about that.
Probably got a poster above his bed.
Damn.
Oh, one of those fat heads.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that and kind of what impact he'll have on the team, and then again, once where we seem to think he'll fit in the club. Many seem to speculate that he'll be a bench player, or he'll come off the bench, not a bench player.
Super sub.
There's a difference. And then we'll also talk about what happened to Gilbert Cumson. Deal fell through, and the reported reason was failed medical and why. So we'll kind of get into that and our thoughts.
Because Brendan said he was coming here is what the truth is.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Right? Got to prove me wrong. Well, it wouldn't be part of the karma, right? So we will talk about all of those kind of things as it is preseason for us as well. So we're testing out some new
disclaimer,
new stuff. So bear with us, guys and ladies.
If you like what you see, what is wrong with you?
Right. Anyway, all right. So the first thing that was announced, Alan Gordon coming to the Rapids. What are our thoughts? As for me, I'll jump right into it. because I'd like to cut Austin off, especially he's about to say something.
That wasn't a true question. That was rhetorical.
Really important. I was gonna bust some stats out first. Before we actually start,
All right.
out there.
Yeah, since you did all the hard work on the
I
stats.
just did a little research today. This first time in a few months,
All right, man.
So we signed him to a 1-year contract. That's nothing big. He started out with the Portland Timbers before they came to the MLS originally.
Didn't know that.
2004 to 2010 with the LA Galaxy. Then he went to a bunch of clubs, including Chivas, Toronto, San Jose. He actually spent a little time starting in San Jose, but most of his career, he's actually been an off-the-bench type player. And then, of course, he was with the Galaxy from 2014 to 2016. His 2015 numbers, he played 29 games with 5 goals. So not great, but he only started 7 of those games. So he hasn't put in a huge amount of minutes. He's about 1,000 minutes a season for the Galaxy the last 2. So he's not getting huge minutes, but he does tend to finish games off decently well.
What was our leading goal scorer last year?
Our leading goal scorer was Gashi. If you actually
how many goals?
Gashi had 8.
There you go. That was kind of the point I was trying to.
So he played his goals per minute or points per minute is 177 in 2016. That's
you love that stat, by the way.
Substantially better than Doyle.
Shut your mouth.
Better than Letou. Way better than Powers. So
it wasn't. That was just irrelevant in general to bring that up.
Yeah, why you gotta? It was better than Birch. Well, come on, why don't you just say that?
Yeah,
better than Howard.
Yeah, Axel maybe. I mean, come on, man. You didn't have to go and throw Powers under the bus. You're comparing him to strikers.
Points per, well, but he'd be 6th.
All right, let me put it to you this way. So it was mentioned in the chat that he's basically a like-for-like sub for Doyle. Do you see him as that?
No. I see Doyle as a better provider.
I was like, explain yourself.
A better worker off the ball. Look at the balls that Doyle puts into the box for others. It granted it didn't turn into a chartable assist necessarily a lot last year, but I just see him as a better movement guy rather than a back to the in the box type of a player.
Okay, so what do you see Alan Gordon?
I don't know, man.
Dude, you're holding back, and I know it.
Yeah, we don't hold back on this show. Be honest.
We'll see how it goes.
Gordon's been known to screw us over a few times, so I don't know if I'd consider it a like-for-like sub, but they are similar.
No. I see him as a guy who gets on the end of balls in the box. End of story.
Yeah.
That's all I was trying to get out.
He's not a link to something else. He's the end goal.
Which is why he comes in at the end of the game.
Exactly.
And that's what I was going to get to. And Austin kind of alluded to it. His entire career, most of his career is coming in at the end of games. That's what we know him for. We don't know him as a starter. We don't know him for a guy who plays 80 minutes, 90 minutes. We know him for a guy who plays 20, 30, 10.
And he was like that even in his first stint at LA when Beckham was there.
And he can still score. And that's just it. Like we knew. The
only team he started for was San Jose. That's the only team he started for decently consistently, and it was still only about 50% of the time.
But it was one of those things where as soon as he touched the pitch, even if there was 3 minutes left, you were like, oh, shit.
Now, I will say this.
Oh, man.
Look like you're saying, end of games, set pieces, or balls that are going to be thrown into the box to, last-ditch effort.
You don't think Gashi can't find his head if he can't find the net?
Look at who we're going to have in there. Doyle, Gordon, Axel, potentially Burling.
I don't think you're going to have Doyle and Gordon on the pitch at the same time.
You never know.
I mean, it may happen here and there. You never know. But I don't know.
At the end of a game, I could see.
Juan thinks that we should have signed Zoltan.
I could see Gordon coming in at the end of a game,
Juan
coming in for
also
Baji.
Underage.
Yeah, your opinions don't count. Juan, I gave you credit. You're 22 at least.
Dude, no, Juan's got a wicked good brain, but the Zlatan thing is a joke.
Anyway,
I draw the line there.
All right.
But, I mean, I think my take was, I think we need someone to kind of close out games. And if anybody can do it, it's Gordo. And I kind of briefly compared him a little bit to Letou because I felt the same way about Letou that I did and kind of do about Alan Gordon was hate to play against him, but I'm happy he's here. And, I think that there's some of our Rapids fan base that have grown to hate Gordon because he's killed us in moments that have been very crucial. How can you not hate him now that he's here? Because he ain't going to kill us in moments that are crucial. If anything, he's going to get us through crucial moments that we haven't been able to get through. Let's give this guy a chance, man, because screw his age. We've seen guys like, Zlatan prove that 37, 38 doesn't matter. If you're a talented and gifted player and you have an ability and you know your role and the manager puts you in your role, you're going to succeed. So,
and the fact that at that age, it's not like he's been playing 90 minutes for 30 games for the last 10 years.
No, he's been barely playing 30 minutes for how many games?
There you go. So, his body's not as worn out as what it could be. Not that I know how his body is.
Right, but I mean, when you see people sit there and say we need strikers, we need goal scorers, we need stuff like that,
he's a finisher.
Bingo.
That's the term I look.
He's a late game finisher. That's what we really, really need, especially if we're going to continue to play a defensive style of soccer. You want someone you can put on the field when you're 0-0.
Think about how many times we scored in the 70-plus minute.
And we don't have a guy like Papa anymore who can come in and throw out the brilliant.
And I don't think that Pablo had the confidence in Papa to do that. And that's why we didn't see him come off the bench as much as we wanted to, or as much as he did in the beginning of the year. And good luck to him in his next club. But, it'll be great to see what will happen, because I think he is definitely that. Count on him coming in off the bench. I mean, that's almost kind of like one of your guaranteed subs now.
On the bench, whose place does he take? Obviously, Connor Doyle's gone.
There you go.
And Papa. So does he basically fit in where they would have been in on the 18?
Bigger question.
I think so.
Does he replace Cerna as your first sub?
No.
Because Cerna's going to be back this season.
Well,
No.
eventually.
But that's not Gordo's role. No, Cerna's a different type of Cerna's got stamina
opposites.
and speed and a whole different bit of creativity and he still would be my first sub. I'd still look to sub him anywhere between the 55th and the 65th minute, depending on the game and what's going on and who's doing what and whatnot.
So with Pablo, you mean the 70th and 85th minute?
Probably, but I would still do Little Dill first for sure.
I completely agree. I think he brings a huge spark that I think, Gordon, you do him your last sub. But the problem is that Pablo hasn't been known to use 3 subs or 2 subs in many games.
I think we sell him short towards the latter half of the season.
And that might be because depending on the situation, he might not have the right guy on the bench.
Exactly. Look what we had.
But when you pull a guy like Alan Gordon, you don't tell me that signing wasn't strategically, specifically signed. Like, this guy's available. This is kind of somebody that we need off the bench.
Yeah.
If this isn't why he's not using if this is why he's not using one of his subs, then let's get him a guy that he can consistently sub in.
I see him being a lot more comfortable in Alan Gordon than he was in Connor Doyle.
Absolutely.
And
it's a guy he's played with for a little bit.
No
too.
offense,
He
Connor.
likes to play players that work really, really hard and are really, really, I guess, physical players. Like, we play a team that doesn't really fall down. Gordon is one known to fall down pretty easily, and don't know, but a lot of people coming out of LA tend to have egos and probably are less work heavy.
Yeah, look at him judging this book by a cover, huh? Just because the guy spent most of his life in Cali or on the West Coast doesn't necessarily mean he'd be West Coast.
You're not going to start talking about Salt Lake now, are you?
There's a chance at that, because that's a very different type of team than we are. So
Yeah, a lot of
like
teams are
that's their
different than we
standard
are.
player.
If I could backtrack just a minute before I forget, because otherwise I'll completely forget about this. Just to go off track, you guys are talking about Dylan. Think about this too going forward. He's going to be like signing a new player this year because we didn't hardly have him last season. So there's an upgrade as well, I think. But anyway, I know that was way off track. I'll bring it back to Gordon, but.
Well, it's just another guy that we have to consider because we stopped considering it when it came to the
Yeah,
lineup.
absolutely.
So now it's another guy that, like, okay, depending on where he is on his rehab, is he going to be 100% come March 4th?
Yeah. That's why I don't think the fact that Jones went to LA is that big a deal because we learned to play so well without him.
Well, I think Jones going to LA was nothing but a great thing for everybody involved.
True.
Everybody. I don't think
True.
that there was anyone that lost out on that deal. I think that we got what we needed when we had him, and it would have been great if we got some more games out of him than we did.
Yeah.
But
And we
it
talked
happened,
about
but
it
we learned to
a few
live
casts
without him.
ago.
Exactly.
He came out with a huge energy and huge spark in his first few games, and I'm guessing that was more from a chip on his shoulder from being suspended and then being traded and all that kind of stuff. But in the second half of the season, he wasn't that same spark.
Well,
Like he wasn't bad, but he wasn't that same spark he was at the beginning of the season. So
consider having to sit for
Whatever
almost
reason that
4
was.
months because you
Yeah,
nearly
like
ripped a
it's-
freaking muscle off the bone or a tendon off the bone. Like
And guys learned to play without him.
the team had to learn to adjust, and it was
Right.
probably a really good thing that the team didn't cling to everything Jermaine.
Yeah.
And and then losing Howard at the end of it, I think it was not that there was anything bad, but to turn a positive to it, they've already learned how to move on without the star, and not that say that Zach McMath couldn't do it. We knew he could.
Yeah.
Because he did for the first half of the season. So I'll just say I'm glad that he's here.
That'll come in handy. I think two things are super important last year, regardless of whether they're here or not. One is the fact that this team learned how to win. Because let's face it, it's been a few years since they, were confident enough or believed or knew how to win a game or consistently win games. And the other thing is they learned how to, depend on more than one superstar or, two superstar, whatever it is. So I like that. I really like that a lot.
All right. So speaking of superstar,
What you got?
now it would be early to say that our new signing could be or would be a superstar, but
Are you talking Nana?
how nice would it be if Nana would be this year's Gashi? Just saying.
that would be pretty spiffy.
Yeah. Just kind of putting it out
If
there.
we are going on it, like he hasn't. Well, I guess, and the question was asked in chat whether we thought he was a replacement for JJ. And I'm not sure. I don't, because we couldn't find a ton of information on him.
Who, Nana?
But based on his stats, he's a goal every 5 games.
Yeah, which is almost
Maybe
Kevin
less.
Doyle. And you consider that's from a center
Yeah.
defensive mid position. Now look
So-
at his assist, man. Now he's not Koomsman
Oh no, yeah.
or Koomson,
Kumson?
and we'll get to that in a minute. But
So, but that begs the question: what's his position?
well, they're gonna probably
with this squad.
they're probably gonna put him in the 10. And I hope to God somebody gets word in his ear not to put that number on his back.
He's wearing 21.
You know it.
It was on.
Okay. I must have skimmed. I must have skimmed through
And
it, but
if they put him in the number 10 role, they need to let him actually be a number 10.
Thanks to
Let him put
friend of the
forward a
podcast,
little
Richard
bit.
Fleming.
Let him not play as a defensive mid. We don't need 3 of them.
I think at this point you've got Sam and Michael locked in. So do you want to mess with that chemistry? This guy's got the ability to play back or forward, which is what we criticized Powers about all year long. So now you have a guy who can do that, and you need someone to kind of be that creative distributor who can tackle and be defensive in an attacking area of the pitch. Ideally, I think Pablo would want him right behind Doyle.
Now, is it dangerous to have someone that young handling that the kind of pressure you get as a number 10, like a true number 10?
No, not
There's
if
a lot of pressure on their back.
Not if you consider maybe his background, his upbringing, his clubs that he spent some with, his experience, and this league. I don't know, man. I think that let's just give the kid a go. I think that he's got a lot of potential, and
he's played in Europe. This isn't his first rodeo.
Yeah, he's got more experience.
If we could only wash the
than
Man
half
City
kid.
taint off of him, we'd be okay.
Well, hell, he hasn't been there
Ever.
Yeah, he may have gone through. He may have done a little drive-by to sign a piece of paper, and then Norway or wherever the heck you were sent off to. That's a stamp on his passport,
yeah, right? I mean, he's probably made some visits to the stadium and partook in some training, but there really wasn't much more than that. He's played in Norway, and most of his roots all come from Ghana, and it's all linked. There's a nice article on the Rapids website about him, so I would urge you to check it out, because it would be a lot for me to basically repeat, but it's great information on not just him, but kind of why all of a sudden you're hearing a lot of Ghana names, guys from Ghana coming out and partaking in MLS, and not just why they're in MLS, but why they're coming from Norway too.
Why they're coming from over.
And I'm excited about it. I'm
should
excited.
mention
It
it's
seems like he's a really
Dream
young,
Academy.
good talent to get. So, I'm excited. I want to see what he can do. I just hope
You
that
look excited.
we let him do what he can do. I think that's been a problem for Pablo with a lot of players.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Not really letting them be.
And this is
able
us,
to, really
so
grow.
okay, and this is speculation that what Austin just said is we sit there and say Pablo doesn't let these players be this way, or he doesn't want the. Now Pablo does have a theory, and he does have a system, and he does have a way he wants to play, but you can't tell me that between Pablo and the front office and what Padraig does, that there isn't some communication between the two of them about I need this type of player.
Yeah,
and. These signings this year are only going to be better than the signings last year, because Pablo and Padraig are working as together as far as who they need and what they need. And each season that they go through, it tells them what they need and what they don't need based on injuries, based on players' performances. Like, you can scout the crap out of a player, but they could get there and they could turn out to be homesick. Look at little
Ramirez.
Bingo. That was a perfect one. Gabby Torres was another example. I mean, so you have situations where, well, yeah, there's that too. And you have players who are bad examples on guys and cancers in the locker rooms. And there's all sorts of things that you deal with throughout the season. Thankfully, knock on wood, the Rapids have been very clear of cancers in the locker room. Not a whole lot of drama or anything like that. So they haven't really had to worry about that. But
and what I see, from what I've seen of Porig, the guy does his due diligence. He doesn't bring players in or sign guys on a whim. There's a reason the people he signs are here, and that's a good in a good way. And the other thing about Pablo, he's a very, I think he's a really good example of, no matter how tight you think he has his grip on that squad, he's a really good example of a player's coach. And what I mean by that is, and he stated this from, really early, not before last year even, he wants it to be a player-driven group. He wants them to have their input. So whether or not you necessarily believe it from what you're seeing on the field, he lets them be more of themselves, I think, than what folks give him credit for, because that's what he appreciated as a player. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why he had such high praise for people like when he played for Bruce Arena at the national team. He's taken a lot of that, where he seems like he's coming down with an iron fist and a stranglehold, but I think I think that's, kind of a misconception. I think he lets these guys, and we've seen it in training. He'll get on there and yell at them, drop the F-bombs, whatever. But in the end, he tells them, and you can hear him tell them, you guys just, you've got to make this happen, or you make this happen. It's a lot of you. It's not me, or.
I don't think I've ever heard me or I out of Pablo's mouth all year long.
Yep. So I think that's good
in when he's talking to the team. Now, granted,
right.
in interviews and everything else, that's different. So people could take me literally on that. But in the reference of what you're saying, out on the training pitch, it's all about the team. It's all about the guys on the pitch. It's all about
and giving them
the tactics and the
letting
method,
them do.
Yeah, exactly, and let them the play.
Yeah.
He encourages and points out how to make a situation better.
Yeah.
He'll stop a play and say, this is how to make it better. You don't see him stop a play and tell them that they're doing it wrong or anything like that, ever. So,
and he doesn't say, look, you need to take 2 steps to the left and then look there. He gives the idea, and then, how you get there is up to you as a player. I think he seems like a guy who'll give you enough rope to hang yourself, and if you don't come through, hey, what do you got?
Right.
Let's see what else we have. He's not afraid to.
Who's next on the list? And that's
exactly.
That's some of those. Maybe that's an answer to some of those squad replacements at times that were like, what?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he seems to have a problem.
Look at him
player.
thinking he's got problems, man.
The
only problem
it's
Pablo's
shown.
got is that he's got to be able to figure out how to put the ball in the back of the opponent's net a lot more this season than he did last year. That's the only problem he's got right now.
From where he sits on that.
And I think that by
coaching offensive player to success yet. He's been with this team for 3 years. He has yet to have an actual successful offensive player. So is that his fault, or you can't say we didn't bring in some talent that can score goals? You've seen what Gashi can
kick the
do.
mood in the gut, man.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, though, you can't. These guys are beyond
it's
a
more
one-on-one
advocate point. I think that
coaching.
Pablo does a great job as a coach, but there does seem to be an issue.
Okay, so I'll admit that our leading scorer with 8 goals is kind of like laughable. It's no joke. I can't argue that. I won't even try. I'd go blue in the face trying.
I think I'm with you on this. Go ahead.
But explain to me what a good offensive season would be, or a good, I think that.
And how does a coach directly affect that?
Exactly. Yes, Pablo's got a defensive mentality, and we're trying to run a formation that Pablo himself didn't even play in that much. And so there's a whole lot of learning involved, and it really does take time, and it takes the right players, and especially in this formation. This formation, tactically, from the basics, is a defensive formation. But if you have the right front four, it's almost more offensive than it is defensive, just on those 4 alone. But you have to have the right 4, and they have to work together right.
It can be. Well, because it'll include your fullbacks. Best case scenario.
Exactly. But we definitely have the back 6.
Yeah.
We just haven't been able to figure out the right combination for the front 4
consistently.
And last year was about finding the right combination for the back 6.
Yeah.
We saw that. We
saw
saw that with
solidifying
Azira.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We saw that with Azira and Cronin. We saw that with Axel. Just
Axel Watts, that center
exactly.
back.
Can we believe that Axel and Watts turned out to be part of that crucial? Like, we probably would have thought Axel, but no one thought Watts. Watts beat out Burley, man. Now, granted, there wasn't a whole lot of options for center back when you consider Sean St. Ledger's situation. But
And Greenspan eventually. Yeah.
It's showing an ability to really develop defensive players, and that's what Pablo was. And that's kind of my point. And they brought in Spencer to try and help that issue really do anything.
I don't
know if that's like you could be right. The plate pieces might not have been there, but Gashi's shown he's very talented. Doyle has shown he's very talented. Baji at times has shown he's a very talented player. Harrison has shown he's a very talented player. You had Papa, who has shown in past seasons in the MLS that he's a talented player, and these guys aren't scoring goals.
Don't sell Spenny's effort short. You should. That guy worked hard, one-on-one, which you don't see a lot in MLS with individuals. I think he did more than you're giving him credit for. Now, did it get it? The results. Qualitatively we want to see. I don't know. Obviously, 8 goals as a leading scorer. Your first impression is no. But I think he did a lot with the guys, and we may not have seen it last year, but I think my hope is we'll see the fruits of that this season.
So I didn't know. I didn't think it was going to go on a spinny tangent, because I honestly think that everything that you saw as far as production that came out of anyone, as far as front end wise, had to really kind of go on spinny, because Pablo had no hands on when it really came to the offense and forwards and whatnot.
And nothing wrong with that. It's just the way things delegated.
What Austin was saying, and I don't think he really realized it, but yes, all of those players that he mentioned have proven to be talented, have proven to show potential. But what hasn't gone on and what hasn't happened is the chemistry between the front four haven't been right. Whether it's been this person with this person or that person with that person. We've said it at times. Gashi and Papa couldn't have them on the pitch at the same time. Mm-mm. That's what I'm talking about. If you have that right chemistry with that front four, we could be deadly. We don't have to mess with that back one. And I really think that I'd like to think that, this signing that we're talking about, or we briefly talked about earlier, or not briefly, we spent 20 minutes on it, could be that missing 10 that we don't want them to wear number 10. So
I just want to see that improvement significantly. I don't want to see, and
he's froze.
As you heard about from me all last season, I supported Pablo as he proved himself as a coach last season. He showed he can make a team that can stay high in the standings, can play in the playoffs and do that kind of stuff. The missing piece is our offense. We've got to figure that out, and we spent a lot of money on our offense last year. Comparatively, I guess, if you don't include Howard signing.
I think the offense is fine. They just need the battery to make them go.
Yeah. The link up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, again, last year in the offensive portion of it, guys were in new positions. Marlon wasn't starting out the season up top. He was starting out at the freaking back line.
Right. He was a right back, remember?
Gashi wasn't around, so you've got some guys that I think will have hopefully used 2016 as time to understand where they fit with each other. Hopefully, my wish is that that's going to pay dividends this year. So I'm not going to give a final.
I don't know. The only thing that worries me is that, and I think Nana is a great signing, discussed multiple times, has had issues with young players, and he has issues with offensive players, it seems like. So when you have an offensive young player, it seems to be his Achilles heel. So I'm sure he's spending time improving over the offseason on how to coach and learn that kind of stuff.
Hold up. You're seeing this all wrong, yo. He's a defensive player with offensive abilities. That's where you're seeing this all wrong. I don't think Pablo's going to have any problems coaching him. I really don't. I think that he truly is what maybe Pablo has asked for and needs. I think you're kind of making up a scenario that
younger Powers, and look what happened there.
But that's Powers. I think his identity wasn't there, and I think that he's definitely a box to box player, and he was utilized very well by Oscar.
Well, you got to realize he came in as out of the college draft.
Right.
He had no quote unquote role, or
that's what I was getting to exactly.
Yep, exactly. I can see it going
he
there.
He had a midfielder role that he also. He played forward half his life too. Like he played all over the place. He's straight up box to box. The dude could probably play even goalkeeper if he was asked to. So I think the problem with Powers is that he was utilized very well by Oscar Pereira, and then Pablo comes in and has a different mentality and a different way of coaching and a different formation, and knowing that Dylan is a box to box player he's trying to tap into the talent that's there. I don't think that Pablo was trying to hold him back in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think that there were times 2 years ago that he wasn't playing because he was being shopped by other teams and we weren't ready to let him go. I will say that. But other than that, last year, not at all. No, I honestly think they are trying to find out how to figure out where to put Powers. I really don't think that it's anything being held back on. So I wouldn't be afraid that Pablo's coaching style is going to hold back Nana in any way whatsoever.
So let's say you're right, and it's because he's a defensive player. Why are we shopping for a defensive number 10?
Because if you can find the right defensive number 10 with the offensive abilities to make the other three guys in the front of your formation work, that's the only missing link. That's the one missing link we were talking about, whether he's offensive or defensive. That's just a matter of opinion, man.
Someone that actually has more of a nose for the goal.
He's got a nose for the goal, but he can play further back in the field or he can play further up in the field. That's kind of what I'm trying to say is whether he's offensive or defensive, that's just a matter of opinion. He can come into this squad and he can play Pablo's style of soccer and still be a creator and distribute the ball, or he can score if he finds himself in the right opportunity. That's what Jermaine Jones did in the first 4 games he did or had with us. He was everything, and that's kind of what they're hoping, or I'd like to think that's what they're hoping this kid can do. And if Pablo can let Jones do it, he can let Nana do it too.
True. But Jones also comes with an older player, a more dominating personality, I'm guessing. Like, harder to push around Jones than a 22-year-old. just like you're molding a player versus Jones is really where he's at.
I think you have a different opinion of how Pablo coaches this team. And part of me feels like you should just come out to training sometime. I wouldn't worry about it. All I saw was
we were, the second worst offense in the league last season. So do that. You said it multiple times last season. We had arguments about it, about us playing too much defensive soccer. And I was arguing the other side because a defensive team can still win championships. Learn to score a few more goals. And he has not shown that he can coach a player or put a team on the field to do that, even with what I would consider decent players offensively to do it.
I think every game is trying to figure out how to find the right pieces. And this year, we got a lot of good pieces still left from last year, and we're adding better pieces. So
sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
I hold back any reservations on my opinion based on whether we're too offensive or defensive at this point. But, you look at last year, we were definitely way more defensive in situations than I wanted us to be in. Mm-hmm. But hopefully we picked up a couple guys between Alan Gordon and Boateng that might be some of our missing keys. One things that we haven't touched is the Gilbert Coombson failed medical deal fell through. That's not something that you hear of often, is a failed medical, or that the deal.
Even Gabby passed his.
Right.
Man.
So and that the deal fell through is like sometimes maybe if you fail a medical, you might have an opportunity to fix whatever the problem might be, and then the transfer might happen. Who knows? But for it to be completely just deals off the tail, failed medical. I wonder, and I don't know if we can get the answers on this or not, but I wonder, and they don't even have to give us the exact reason, but I wonder what some of the reasons would be where you would fail a medical. Like, is it, I mean, are there PEDs involved? Is it just straight like marijuana, methamphetamines, like the coke? Is there alcohol, or is there something, what or was there an actual physical ailment?
Yeah, I mean,
Could-
it could
could
be
he
an
not have-
unreported tear of something, or
Exactly.
things like that.
Right. Did the other club not disclose that the dude ripped his Achilles or something?
Bingo.
Yeah, we just don't know, and that's kind of, and I'm not asking for them to tell me what the exact reason is, but I wonder what would entail a failed medical, the deal's off kind of thing, like not even we're gonna look into it later kind of thing.
We have a conspiracy theory,
Let's
Okay.
hear it.
or theory, coming out of our favorite Boraz. He thinks that possibly, maybe there was some condition that gets exacerbated by altitude. At altitude, maybe there was a medical condition that because he's at a higher altitude, it affects him more or something like that.
Well, like asthma.
I don't know what type
No.
of condition that would be, but
Yeah.
I remember there was a football player, and I don't remember.
yeah, he said Steelers, Ryan Clark.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to say the name or the team or anything, but I do remember that there was a football player that was
Talk about random though.
like there was something that like he couldn't come to Denver and play because of the altitude, that there was a chance that he could just collapse on the field or something. That would be, I mean,
That would deter me a little.
that would definitely fail a medical test and mean the deal is done. Like, dude, that sucks. You can't come here, man.
Well, wait a minute. We haven't seen Austin run yet, so it might have the same thing.
But
I grew up here though, so
Oh, whatever.
that's honestly, that's one of the better reasons. I'll take it.
It's completely
better
believable.
than
I mean,
better than a bad
said it's
drug
a-
history or
Yeah.
something like that. But so yeah, there could be other medical things, and it would be nice to know like what could be just some of those items. Not that it was the exact same one or whatever, but that is a bit of a bummer because watching the guy play on FIFA. Not like him personally, but like watching what the simulation of him is.
his animated likeness.
Right. It made me feel like if you added him on one side and Marley on the other side and Kevin Doyle in the middle, oh my God, it would have been...
Would it be the same as Baji and Marlon?
No, it would have... Well, it would have been the same as Baji and Marlon, but it would have been like Baji 5.0.
Which could happen. We don't know this yet.
Right.
does that mean he misses the net further, or he actually puts it in the net?
Oh, he puts it in the net, but
Damn.
the thing is he was the assist leader in Norway. So, like, it was more like he puts it there for the guys to put in net, which is, again, something that we talked about.
Really miss. That's
Yeah.
actually probably more than goal scoring as an actual distributor, which is what a number 10 is.
I think we might have gotten it, and I wonder if and maybe I'll try to ask somebody
No. Hey. No.
when the mics aren't on, who was his first choice.
Wait, say that in a different way.
I said I think I want to ask someone when the mics aren't on who was his first choice,
First choice.
Kumsen or
Oh, I
Boateng?
got you. Okay.
Like who would
Like
you
either
have rather
or.
had? Or I mean, obviously you were trying for both.
Right. Okay. I'm with you.
So yeah,
Up Gordon because
For
of
about
that
another
failed
10 minutes.
medical?
exactly. And did
Oh.
and did Gordon come into play because,
I doubt it.
or was Gordon again on his shopping list?
Yeah.
And it was something that he was working too, knowing he could probably work Gordon, Boateng, Kumsen. Like,
Because wasn't Gordon's contract not picked up?
I'm not exactly sure, but I want to say that.
Yeah, no, he was a free agent,
Yeah. So
so it had to have not been picked up.
That's right, because he fell in a free agent role. Yeah.
I think that was in the work. I think that was at least a mention before or whatever.
All right. Well, so
Speaking of old players, they got picked up. I
Oh.
wanted to bring it up. Our very own Vicente
Segue.
Sanchez got picked up in Houston, which kind of disappoints me. I really liked him when he was here, and I really thought we should have signed him again. But he's now at Houston as rumored player coach.
you don't see many of those around often.
No.
But, as Brian alluded to earlier before we started hitting record, how do you like that? Before we hit record, I wonder how much player versus how much coach he'll be. Cause
what's the percentage there?
when Vicente was here, he was definitely, he didn't have a player coach role, but we all called him a coach. Like he was the locker room guy. Like,
and he was playing 15 minutes if he's lucky, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I got to think it's more coach than player.
We were playing him too much because he was starting to play like 60, 65 minutes because we needed it.
Then he'd take a game off or not travel somewhere.
And he's an amazing talent. I loved watching him play.
But he's kind of like those guys in FIFA that you're like, I love every stat about him except his stamina isn't even a 50. He's like, dude can barely play a half.
He's as old as Brendan, so
this is true.
Okay, as long as you didn't bring my name in that.
And if you asked me to run around in 45 minutes of MLS play, I probably would puke. 3 times. Just saying.
You puked at our adult league, didn't you?
I typically in the first game. Yeah. Typically the first game of each season, I'll probably yak up my.
Which that's a topic for later, by the way.
Hey, we brought up your team again.
Hey, that's because the season's happening again. We got 2 months to get our shit together.
I was gonna say, when's your manager meeting? It should be coming up, yeah.
The email got sent out this week. So.
Oh no.
All right, yeah. Anyway, well, with all that in mind, that's pretty much all the happy news.
All right.
Which is pretty awesome. It's all been happy news so far to start the season. I guess if you look at it, negative news is not being able to sign a guy we wanted to sign just due to a failed medical. And if it is one of those conditions like Wanathon brought up, I probably as a player...
That's Boras. Give him credit.
Mind.
Do credit,
okay.
Boras,
Okay.
Johnny.
My
there
bad,
you go.
Boras.
Gotta give him credit.
Absolutely. My bad, Boras.
He signed on and threw out that conspiracy theory.
But as a player, I probably wouldn't want that necessarily going out completely public because it doesn't hinder your career. It just means you can't play in high altitude places.
Yeah.
So
limit your options for future.
But overall, it was a really good week for the Rapids. One thing I touched on in the beginning of the podcast that I didn't, so now I will at the end. The Rapids they're starting their season this week, or the preseason. So
tomorrow.
Well, technically Wednesday, they're actually all getting together on the soccer pitch for the first time.
Balls will be kicked.
Maybe not, dude. It might just be
true.
I can remember my 2 days.
How's this? Balls will be touched.
For the first week, we didn't touch balls.
Why are you always touching balls, Brian?
And if we were touching balls, it was definitely the ones in the shower. That's for sure. It was horrible.
Oh my
Brendan
gosh!
likes those road trips.
Joan, Mrs. Miller, we're sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry, mamas. But they know it. Their sons are. Anyway.
That's true. You guys know better with Brendan.
Yeah. Oh, with me? Oh, come on.
Don't look at me.
Anyway, so
I'm the mature one.
The team is getting together. Guys are finally checking out their lockers and getting into town from being out of town and whatnot. So,
Gashy's coming in on his private jet.
Right. I don't know if his boat's leaving Dubai though.
Where's he going to dock around?
Bar Lake,
Yeah.
Chatfield Reservoir,
Stanley.
Yeah, as Matt said, Stanley Lake. I don't know. His boat might just take up one corner of Stanley Lake.
It might. You're right. Yeah, that's not right.
I digress. Anyway, so, well, thanks for joining us, and stay tuned to us next week as we will discuss whatever breaks between now and then.
I wanted to throw a call out if anybody knows any writers that would like to write for us. We're looking for a few to throw up some articles throughout the season.
I know one.
Yeah, we can't
just
pay
on Twitter,
you.
and we'll
just
get back to you.
Volunteer stuff, but if you want to throw your opinions out there and put something together, that's we can offer a platform for our C38 members. And then other than that, we will hopefully we'll have some news from the training pitch. I think between Brian and I,
the Chicharito signing next week.
Yeah.
Did you say Zlatan?
Yeah. At this point, I I get the joke. It's just going to come.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
The Wayne Rooney signing.
right. So yeah, but
Hey, they actually had some more rumor talk about him coming to the MLS in 2018.
Stop it.
yeah, I just
LAFC.
Stop it. On that note.
yeah. See you guys next
Don't hate.
week.
Following it.
Aloha.